In the past 2 weeks, something very interesting has been happening in Luo Nyanza. Organized groups of youths have been releasing videos announcing that they will no longer support Raila Odinga for the presidency of the Republic of Kenya, but they will instead support the Deputy President William Ruto. That's a very interesting political development in that region, because we all know that Luo Nyanza has always stood with Raila Odinga in his entire political journey up to now. And what these youths are actually daring, nobody would have dared in the past. But these youths are daring, and they are coming out to announce publicly. So today I want us to look at the possible reasons why the deputy president is actually appealing to these youths. But before we do that, if you are watching this video for the first time, I want you to take a second or two and click the subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. Now back to the main issue. This week, I took a bit of my time and went out there in the streets, in those bunges, just to gather a bit of information, because I've been witnessing a lot of videos online of youth daring Raila Odinga, daring ODM party. So I went outside there to gather information. And already 300 youths had already been recruited to provide, not really youths, but bouncers, had already been recruited to provide security to the Deputy President William Ruto, who was expected in Kisumu last week. But that trip was postponed. He's now expected next week or next week but one. But just assume 300 bouncers in Kondele providing security. That's already a huge crowd. So these people are well organized. They are well coordinated and well funded, which means these activities, these videos we are seeing are actually intended to achieve political objectives. But why would the deputy president venture in Nyanza? We all know that ultimately the people of Nyanza will definitely vote for Raila Odinga. But why would the deputy president still venture in Nyanza? Two reasons, because I want to explain why the deputy president is actually appealing, or why these youths are now following the deputy president. The deputy president is intending two objectives by venturing in Nyanza. The first objective is that politics is normally about perception. The deputy president must create a perception that Raila Odinga is actually losing the ground and is gaining. How is that important? Now let's go to cost. Let's go to cost. Cost has always stood with Raila Odinga. It's known to be Raila Odinga's stronghold. How can William Ruto go to coastal region and convince them not to support Raila Odinga? So the easiest route would be to come to Nyanza, organize the way he's organizing these people, and then a perception, because politics is about perception, not reality. A perception will be created that Raila Odinga is losing the ground in his own backyard, Kondele. So the deputy president will then live there, go to coastal people. Atauliza watu wa pwani, sasa nyinyi mmekomlea ule jamaa kama watu wao ndio already wamemwacha. So that's the first thing he's trying to create. He's trying to create an impression that Raila Odinga is losing the ground, but him as the deputy president is actually gaining. That's the first objective. The second objective is to disorganize Raila Odinga in his own backyard. Some of these youths are known supporters of Raila Odinga. Some of them have stood with Raila Odinga. Some of them have suffered with Raila Odinga for a long time. All of a sudden, they are calling for a press conference to castigate Raila Odinga and even to dare him. So basically, Raila Odinga and ODM party will be in panic mode. So they'll try to come down here. And that's why when Raila Odinga met the ODM delegates here, it was interpreted to mean that he was actually reacting to the news that the deputy president was expected in Kondele. So that's what the deputy president wants. And I want to take you to 2017 general election. In 2017 general election, ODM party had to create a team which was headed by my friend Eric Ochanji, the Nyanza presidential campaign team. Why? Because Jubilee Party decided to disorganize ODM. How did they disorganize ODM? Very simple. Just mess the nomination, help ODM party mess the nominations, then engineer rebellion within the party. And before they knew, they had to spend a lot of time, a lot of resources campaigning for ODM party candidates in Nyanza here. How do you campaign? How do you dedicate a team? You are a presidential candidate and you are sure of your people voting for you. Then you still dedicate time, resources, and a team to campaign for you in your region. So they managed to disorganize ODM party and Raila Odinga's presidential bid. And exactly that's what the deputy president wants. He wants to disorganize Raila Odinga in his own backyard. He wants to keep him busy. So by the time he comes to Kondele, the deputy president shall have left Kondele. He'll be in Migori, dealing with those Migori youths. So basically, those are the two main reasons why the deputy president is venturing in Luo Nyanza. But why is it that the deputy president is actually appealing to these youths? Because that's where the issue, the main issue is. Some of these youths would still stay with Raila Odinga. Some of these youths, they really don't have any issue. If you ask them any reason, they can't pinpoint why they are leaving. But they are expressing themselves openly and courageously. Why is the prospect of the deputy president becoming the president of the Republic of Kenya appealing to these people? Or why is the deputy president appealing to these people? I have 6 reasons. Number 1 is mentorship. There is no mentorship within the ODM structures in this country. And when I went to one of the bunges there, they really surprised me. They told me that today, if you come to Kisumu, for example, the face of ODM in Kisumu County is Ayecho Olwen. They don't have a problem with that because Ayecho Olwen is educated. But they are asking me, they even challenged me to pinpoint to them any youthful leadership within that structure. In fact, they only pointed out Seth Ochieng, the Milimani Ward MCA, as the only reason why some of the youths are actually still sticking with the party. Now they were telling me that the other guy is Nyabenda, and now they were showing me the video when Raila came there. The guy who was pushing what people around Raila is a guy called Nyabenda, and this is a guy who has been with Raila Odinga for a very long time. So it means around Raila Odinga, there's a clique which has refused to give space. There's a clique which has refused to give space. Everybody would want space, and it's called political growth. So if you are a youth in your 18 years and you started following Raila Odinga that time, you are now 35, then you still can't find space because the people you found at that particular time, 15 years ago, as the party officials, are still the same party officials. So it's not making sense to them. And that's why on the other side, there's a space. So they feel if they go there, probably they're likely to succeed. The second thing I gathered is that these people are very bitter with ODM party and especially the reward system. I don't know how ODM conducted the nominations in Kisumu County, the people who were nominated, but they believe some of them did not deserve those nomination slots. They were saying that it would have been better if, for example, specific people, and they mentioned me, for me their names, one of them, I think it's a lady who did so much and even branded her car in town here, she was not nominated. So they are asking themselves, if that lady committed her resources, time and energy just to revamp the party, campaign for the party, when it comes to nomination, she was not considered. So because of the poor reward system in ODM party, these people believe that if they go the other side, probably they might be rewarded. The third thing I gathered is that politics has actually been commercialized. So politics is nowadays money. what am I going to get by supporting you? And that's a very tough call, which Raila Odinga must answer. If he expects these people to support him, what is he going to offer them? Because these guys have lost hope. The county governments, they're not being absorbed there. Some of them were providing security to this, they've been providing security to these politicians. Once they get into office, then they are forgotten. Elections is around the corner, then these guys will start reaching out to them. So these guys believe that they are being used. So the reward system around Raila Odinga is poor, and then the mere fact that politics has been turned now into money. It has been commercialized. So most of these youths are now looking at politics as a commercial entity, or they're looking at whatever they've been doing for the party for free in that region. They now want the services to be paid. If they are going to provide security, if Raila Odinga is coming there and they want to provide security, this time around they'll be demanding for money. If Raila can't do that, then they'll be going to the deputy president, who will be willing to spend his money. Number 4 was messaging. That also came out very clearly. There's a disconnect between a generation and the older generation. What message are you sending? Are you communicating to these youths? Raila Odinga has sustained his narrative of hope, a hope of a better Kenya. The deputy president is coming with a solution that wewe mko na shida, okay, you want mkokoteni, sawa, chukua hiyo, enda. So this communication is why some of these guys are leaving. So in my advice to the ODM party, because I spoke to some of these people, my advice to the ODM party, you must figure out how you are going to communicate properly. If you don't communicate properly and counter the deputy president, then you guys are going to lose some people who've always stood with you. Some of the people addressing the media are people who have always stood with Raila Odinga. Some of them were like, ukiona huyu, you just know huyu ni jamaa wa Raila. And they used to command those bunges. In fact, I was being told that today, if you go to some of those bunges, the other strategy these guys are using, because the DP has identified some of his coordinators, what they do, they identify these bunges, because politics is normally propagated from those areas. Then the vocal guys are identified. So once you are identified, when people are discussing politics there, then you start discussing William Ruto in a very positive way. So it's a strategy. So the messaging is key. And that's what the deputy president is using to win the hearts of these people. Number 5, the 5th thing I also gathered is actually accessibility to the party leader, the ODM party leader. Some of these youths claim that it's easy to go to Oscar Sudi and meet Oscar Sudi, and even go to the deputy president and meet him, than to meet Raila Odinga and even the local member of parliament. Not only in Kisumu Central, but the entire Luo Nyanza. They claim most of those MPs, you can't access them. So because of that, the deputy president, they are able to reach the deputy president. If, like, this is how this thing started. I'm told there's a guy, I don't want to mention the name, there's a guy here who had contacts. So Sudi was in Acacia. So he met with Sudi and they discussed blah, blah, blah. Then after that, coincidentally, Sudi went to that wedding. Then from that wedding, again, Sudi came to Kisumu. They met. Then they started seeing how people are reacting to them. So that's how they now started planning. And these guys, from that moment up to now, have managed to meet the deputy president severally. Just planning on how he's going to come to this region. Because the deputy president is not looking for votes here. He just wants to pass a message to the entire country that Raila Odinga is losing ground in Nyanza. So what are you still doing with him in Kisii, in Luo Nyanza? What are you still doing with him in Kisii? Watu wa Western, what are you still doing with Raila Odinga? Watu wa Coast, what are you still doing with Raila Odinga if watu wake wenyewe ndio wanamtoroka? So that accessibility to Raila Odinga, and it's important for Raila Odinga in future to start allocating time and listen to some of these youths. He knows some of these youths by name. They've supported him from the day he was in. Some of them are, when we talk of youths in political party or in ODM, ni wale wenye walianza kukimbia na Raila. So even if they started running with him in 1997, they are still youths. Some are 50 years. Raila knows them by name. So the fact of the matter is, Raila Odinga must look for some of these people, talk to them. If you want that, then I can assure him, he should forget. And lastly, the deputy president, one thing these people are forgetting is that the deputy president, William Ruto, at one point was a Pentagon member. He was a member of ODM party. So he understands the ODM politics. He understands how ODM operates, especially Luo Nyanza. Because last time he was in ODM, Rift Valley and Nyanza and Coast were the core support base of Raila Odinga. He was deeply involved. So some of these people actually worked with him. So he's able to reach out to them and tell them, okay, unajua hao vijana wako na njaa leo, okay, sawa, okay. Wasukumie hiyo kitu kidogo. So he has worked with ODM. So he understands how ODM operates, the youth operates. And because of that, he's actually appealing to some of these youths. Let us wait and see how everything is going to unveil. But I've gathered that the moment the deputy president will land in Kisumu, these guys have an elaborate plan to ensure that is going to be received. In fact, the women in Kondele already walikula pesa yao because the trip bounced, but already walishakula that 500. Maybe next time ingine italetwa. But that trip is going to be huge. And the deputy president wants to send a message to the entire country, right from Kondele, the Darfur of Kenya. Let me read your comments on this. Thank you guys, and please may you have a good day. Bye-bye.